Okay, welcome back to another episode of Project Incentition. I'm your host, Andrew Mallet, and this is number 3 with former Sergeant Pattie, Brassard, U.S. Army Freedom Team, NASA Contractor, Space Lab, Computer Communications. Go ahead and come on in, Pattie. You were...
Okay. We're off on a little side tangent. The last show we were talking about warp drive and stuff.
Yeah.
More important and more relevant to today, computer technology. And the technology that we were basically had dropped on us deliberately to try and get us over to working with binary technology. Several reasons for this. Binary technology is how the plasma AI and black goo works as far as control, and the archons are completely under the thumb of the plasma AI. But here's the thing: it's binary. People, at least before the Dracos played with us, are not binary. We're trinary.
Right.
One of the interesting things, as you look at the screen here now, on the right side is the isolinear chips used in the TV show Star Trek. The ones on the left are the actual ones, reverse engineered from the crash ship that they forced on us. Even for the ETs, this is old stuff. That craft that was delivery wasn't supposed to crash, but it was supposed to land, but it was to give us binary controlled computer chips. In case you're wondering why the Malaysia flight disappeared, the folks on board that plane were the holders of the patent on Intel computer technologies. And the day after it was supposed to land here in the United States, of them returning from the symposium out there, the patent on that stuff expired. And they were going to tell everybody where the chips came from. So they had to shut them up. That's why that plane disappeared. They landed at Garcia Base and they force migrated them up to Mars.
And who did that?
The New World Order group, the G20. The G20 group are basically all your major players behind the Illuminati or New World Order. Interesting thing about this is you can pretty much do anything with crystal technology, including, as the Greys use it, interface directly with your mind if you haven't been messed with.
Right.
Intrinsically, this technology, you can have a -1, a 0 with no charge, and a +1, which is a positive charge. That would be more in tune with the way we were originally built by Gaia. The binary technology makes you easier to control by the plasma AI and its technologies, which is why they're pushing all this binary technology on humans. Better control.
Right.
The interesting thing about this is crystal technology embedded in plastic. It doesn't throw off heat. When you initially charge the circuit up, it takes very little power, and the crystals naturally maintain the power you put into them because they're a natural element with a slight radio frequency charge put through the entire rack, which taps the hydrogen frequency power tap, or otherwise known as dark energy or orgone, or everybody's got a different name for it, but that's what it amounts to. Free energy. It maintains the state. It maintains the state of whatever the switches are. So, like computers, anytime you change the state of a chip to do your computation or your software, run your programs and everything, it's a whole lot of switching of little contacts basically, which require power. And the more power you use, the more heat it creates, and then the more power it draws. And you know what? We've had these things ever since Roswell. You could have a computer in your home right now easily that you could run with basically a 9-volt battery.
Right.
forever.
And how long ago was Roswell? 48?
Yeah.
This will be coming out soon anyways, though, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we have everything to build them because, I mean, like I said, the fake ones for Star Trek movie are the ones on the right, the green and the yellow. The actual ones are the blue ones that are actually in use by humans in the secret space program today.
Yeah, right. More secrets.
Yeah. More and more secrets. That's, I mean, everybody thinks that to really do this stuff, it would require a great deal of R&D. No.
Yeah, it's already done.
Yeah. This is how they plan to do theirs. And again, they want to play with antimatter. And antimatter is bad news. Deuterium, the whole thing, I mean, that's like justifying the nuclear program. You understand? But although that's why they set up this type of system, and that's what they show in Star Trek, although you don't need dilithium. I don't know where that came from. That, I think, came right out of Gene Roddenberry's skull, because it has nothing to do with anything. It's the fact that you can use the nuclear stuff for weapons. Point blank. Right. That's the only justification for it.
How many times were we warned to get rid of our nuclear stuff?
Yeah, I know.
By our galactic family members?
Yeah. Well, there's a whole race that we wouldn't be in this bucket we're in now if we'd gone along with some of the ones who stopped by and said, hey, you get rid of all your nuclear weapons and all that stuff, and we'll help you.
Right.
And every time we've had a new president sit in the White House, they've showed up and given them the same option, and they've all said no. So what are you going to do, right? Yeah, this is all not just possible. It's
already being used.
Well, it's not that it's already been used. This is how the Milky Way galaxy moves through space. This is how all the individual star systems, like ours, with its planets around it, move through space.
Right.
I mean, this is used everywhere. The ETs consider warp drive technology the same way we would look at a Model T Ford. Okay, so is it in use? Yeah, but it's ancient technology. It's old stuff. It's like granny stuff.
Right.
Yeah, when you first go out of space, maybe you use that, but I mean, there's so much stuff that's so much better that really back at the time when we got the technology from ETs to build like the TR-3B. TR-3Bs are fine for getting about in the system, but really the reason why they built the first warp drive ship, the Admiral Horton, was to get out of the Sol system.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because none of our other technologies could support a craft that was large enough to take along all the supplies you would need to go further. If you tried to put all that in the other type of craft, you overload it and never get off the ground.
Right.
So that was the point behind building the Admiral Horton, was to go long haul. Of course, now we have some really big TR-5 series craft, which they call it Galactic Freedom, because it can go anywhere. But it is huge. It is huge. And it pollutes, too, because that's the Galactic Freedom Edition. I've got another picture of it with on the ground for scale, but all the other ones that were far smaller. People see these and they think, oh, they're CT. It's like, no.
That's ours.
That's ours. And all the New World Order folks that do abductions, these are what they use for the abductions. And here's a picture of them doing one.
Is that real or is that
Yeah, abducting a girl.
But I mean, is that real or is that like Hollywood?
No, that's real.
Wow. How was that captured?
On a cell phone camera. That's why it's not too good. I wish I could get zoomed in enough so I could ID the girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you could make a ruckus over it. Here's another picture of the TR, the Galactic Freedom Edition. To give you an idea of scale, these things are huge.
Yeah, that's big.
This was on approach to Dulce.
Now the one group I heard, ET race, they look like little teddy bears and they're bad guys and they're supposed to have like the fastest ships in the universe. Do you know anything about that?
Not offhand. There's too many.
Yeah, yeah.
I try to keep data intake into the ones that are involved in the conflict, the issues that we have right now. This is the original one. This is the TR-3B. This is the one we initially settled Mars in 1947 driving. As you can tell by the windows, that's the pilot capsule. Max, you could maybe have 10, 12 people in it. That's it. And they can't go very long because there's no place to store their food. That's, I mean, limitations. You couldn't go very far with this because you run out of food.
So they could only make it to Mars then, correct?
Yeah, it took 6 hours to drive to Mars.
Where did they get the number 6 months? There's something that they made up, or
Oh, that's NASA, and that's that new program they're talking about, which it's got to be a cover for something else. Just what it's a cover for, I don't know.
no, I mean
like I said, they've got 6 shuttles that they acknowledge that they made. That they've actually made either 12 or 14. I can trace hull numbers for at least 12 of them. I actually made a separate document up, and the Saturn and the Jupiter are space launch vehicles. Development platforms. I mean, I did shuttle findings and traced them down by the orbital vehicle hull numbers, and what they had in them, which ones had the cannon arms, which one had the EDO pallets, and there's a bunch more that they don't talk about, like the 39B, the 107. That's to launch those miniature shuttles in orbit.
yeah,
The space shuttle Saturn, which they don't even talk about, that's a heavy lift vehicle and it's EM drive. It doesn't need the tank and boosters to get up there. Same thing with the Jupiter. The Orion project, which is that the Orion project is what they're talking about, the 6 months to Mars.
okay,
What I think that's going to be is a heavy transport. Now they're marketing it to the public as to put the first team of men on Mars. Only we have 40 huge cities there,
right,
manufacturing facilities and everything, and an entirely enslaved human population that they've been taken off of Earth for a long time. They claim to the slaves that Earth had a nuclear exchange war and it's no longer habitable. That's the falsification that they have to keep them in order there.
right.
But yeah, I mean, 4 entire shuttles disappeared out of their hangars at Kennedy Space Center. They did not go out on the back of the jet. They did not go out on the plane. That we know of off the plane strip. They did not go up on boosters, and they did not go out on the ship at sea. At the port. They're just there, and they're not there now. Nobody says anything about where they went.
Right.
I mean, I've done deep research into where all these hulls are. Every facet of that program. Because I know the one that I did go up on, it said Endeavor on the side. Only the inside flight deck, and everything wasn't built like Endeavour. And at the time that I went up on the one that had Endeavour written on the side, I come to find out the actual Endeavour was still out in California undergoing service and hadn't been flown back yet. The ship, the Columbia, which got destroyed in orbit by ETs because it was carrying a beam weapon in the bay, wasn't actually Columbia. It was Atlantis. And although Atlantis was sitting on pad 2 or B, it said Atlantis on it. It wasn't. It was Columbia. And the whole point of that whole subterfuge was because of what was in the bay. Columbia had the EDO pallet, which is an extended duration orbit, which it did not need.
Yeah.
And you could not put the weapon in the bay if it had an EDO pallet. And Columbia did not have a Canadarm. Specifically, the entire throwdown destruction of that vehicle in orbit did not happen anywhere near orbit. The orbital interface, which is where they claim it broke up on reentry, wrong. It happened within camera range of the ISS because we got it all on camera.
Yeah, I've seen some footage like that. I don't know if it's the correct footage, but I've seen it.
The guy says he can't validate it because of that NASA symbol on the tail end of the United States on the port side of the rear.
Yeah.
But there's only one shuttle that has that, Atlantis. Also, Columbia did not have a Canadarm. The one that was destroyed had a Canadarm.
Oh, what?
The Canadarm, the arm to put stuff out in orbit and everything, the Canadarm. Columbia doesn't have one of those.
What was the purpose of blowing it up, or did it blow up by accident?
They had a beam weapon. I think that shuttle took off on a different trajectory from NASA than any other shuttle that ever took off. It went up to the northeast to go up over Russia. I think they were going to use that beam weapon to do an actual attack on the ET prison that's in Russia.
Wow.
And 3 ET craft shot the shit out of that. And when we look at the remains, curiously enough, that beam weapon that was in the payload bay goes missing. They not only cut that ship up, they took the weapon.
Is that the footage they show, like 3 spherical orbs around it?
Yep.
Okay, so
it's sliced out, and then I've got the actual audio where they're saying where they lost the hydraulics and the landing gear, and then they walked through the whole thing of it, as it was getting carved up.
Did they remove the astronauts before, or no?
Nope. It was an all-military crew with a military mission.
Oh, okay.
They killed them.
Yeah, I get it.
Although NASA did do up a whole staged event to show to the public later the final moments of Columbia, but they actually did it in the Columbia cockpit because Columbia wasn't destroyed.
Wow.
They faked the whole thing after the fact. Some actual differences between Atlantis and Columbia. There's basically three different size shuttles. There's 2 Endeavors. One is built the size of Columbia, and there's another one that's built the size of Enterprise. Enterprise is the smallest one. And then you got Columbia and Discovery. Columbia and Endeavor, rather. That's your next size up. Discovery and Atlantis are the big boat Cadillacs that can take 12 people rather than 6. Enterprise and the Endeavor 2, the military edition of Endeavor, can only take 3.
And those can only go low orbit?
Well, no, they're limited to 420 miles because if you try to go past that, the actual neutrons from our electromagnetic shield will make it so you won't see anything in front of you but stars. As they impact your eyeballs, you can't see anymore.
Now say that again. You lost me.
If you get up above 425 miles, atmosphere plus 425, you hit Earth's electromagnetic shield.
Okay.
It's radioactive as all hell, which at least the shuttles could handle that. The Apollo capsules couldn't. But although you could handle the radiation shielding, the energy in our electromagnetic shield impinges on the actual irises of your eyes, creating spark-like looking things, which if you tried to drive through it, you'll go blind.
Okay, now I understand.
So it's not that the hull itself can't go out, you just can't have anybody in it. That's what I mean. The TR3Bs, they create a electromagnetic field around them, much like a warp drive field, much like Earth's electromagnetic shield, so that there's a disconnect. You don't have that issue.
So they get around it.
Yeah. Now, the Russians tried to send a Soyuz capsule out our electromagnetic shield after we supposedly pulled the landing of the moon. And they killed a whole bunch of cosmonauts trying because they fried them with radiation. I mean, they died.
Yeah.
The second set that they sent up, they actually turned them around soon enough to come back. That they did land, but they died, within 2 days of getting them out of the capsule. Cooked, radiation cooked.
Now, what was which one were they on where they had a 9 or 10 foot ET working with them in the Bay Area?
Oh, that's Discovery. That's what I mean. That was the big one. One of the bigger hulls. Yeah, that kind of thing happened a lot.
What were they doing? Do you know?
Well, I don't know what they were doing, but the only time they'll fit in the bay is when the doors are open.
Right.
This is another toy they got. You see this? They're mounting this on a lot of craft now. These are energy weapons. This came out of Skunk Works. Triple beam weapons.
So the circles are the three circles are the
yeah. These are beam pylons now that they're mounting on our space going craft. Yeah, these are for killing ET craft. What it does is because most of your ET craft they're mentally controlled.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't actually have to damage the craft. All you have to do is damage the interface between the pilot and the actual controls.
Right.
Here's a TR4 Astra, which is another edition. I've got a good video of this one over Phoenix. But this is the one they used to do the resupply on the ISS ever since they shut the shuttle program down. That's what it is. It's undocking from the ISS after doing a resupply. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes on that people are just clueless. There's a test area out above, about 100 miles north of Area 51, where they build these things and then they take and run them through all their paces here and control on the ground.
You mean mental control?
Yeah, and train the pilots to use them in fine maneuvers and everything else.
Okay.
Before they can be given actual active pilot status. The test center. And this place is huge.
It looks huge.
This little tiny thing down there, that's one of those big utility trucks.
Wow.
To give you scale. That's a house.
How did it get so close to that?
Huh?
How did that? Is that like where they stay or something, or? How did that house get so close to that base?
Yeah, it's the guy that maintains the field. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
And because there's only one road that goes all the way out there, and it's cut off just like Area 51 is, he they have a crew there that they grow their own crops and everything else, and have a thing here where they have animals and stuff. So I mean, you don't even have regular food deliveries, and if it does, they fly in
Hmm.
something. They don't. There's only one road, and it's such a long drive. You'd actually have to, I guess, have a full tank just to get there.
Wow.
And they're empty. So, I think Area 24, which is north of there, which is around even roads to, which is where they actually test the actual sauces, which is where I got that overhead shot of it coming out of the underground hangar on its first test flight. You can only get there by a plane that only flies out of Area 51. But there was coming out of its hangar. Its first test flight. So.
When was that?
Oh, this is 90, 99, I think. Because this is the new edition. This is what they're using now. I know they had some other really crappy ones, but this is prototype for what they build now down at Pine Gap for the fake ET androids that they built to drive them. Because they were planning to fake a ET invasion.
Right.
And these are what they're going to use. They had to make them as much like the gray crafts as they could.
That's not going to fly, though.
No.
With the people anymore. The people are really waking up fast now.
This is a base in Japan where they were doing the anti-gravity stuff. When I caught this one when I was playing around trying to get alternate angles using ground-based cameras to get a look at Fukushima. I found this.
Huh.
It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I can capture that.
And that's ours,
that
or
was
Japan's?
Well, I mean, these folks actually all work together. So, I mean, was it a Japanese group that was putting it together? Yeah, but it really doesn't matter where on the planet. G20 group controls it, so you might as well say it's ours.
Yeah.
There's another one. This is using alien stealth technology.
Now looks like simple jet engines.
No, these are electromagnetic drives. Again, like I said, they're not doing what they should. And this craft uses the E-drive, and it has to be fed selenium. So, I mean, selenium, every time they drive these stupid things, they're throwing that crap in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to use jet fuel and all of that stuff, but they do have to feed selenium in. I actually got the blueprints for the drive on that, too. Where is it? I think I put it in here. That's the one for the other one. I got all the work up on that too. But what is the?
She's gonna be okay if this is not what
Oh, this is funny too. I'll show you this before I do that. You want to know how old warp drive technology is? This is a Mayan schematic for a warp drive system.
Wow. Say that again.
So that's the Mayan schematics for building a warp drive ship. The right way. Without having to use fuel or antimatter or anything else. That's what I mean. This is it's laughable.
Yeah. And when was that? 300 BC?
Yeah.
Or 300 AD?
No, BC.
BC? Well.
So people wonder, they say, well, no, we didn't know such technology around back then. It's like, who are you kidding? Oh, this is the weapon that's used by the Dracos. This is that sonic weapon. Again, that utilizes hydrogen energy, electromagnetic tap of free energy in the form of a handgun. This is that weapon I was telling you about that will it'll cause a human body to basically fly apart. All the at the molecular level, it'll all uncouple, except for the human heart. If you're an avatar, because the frequency and energy coming down your uplink actually keeps your heart intact.
Wow. So if you come up against that, shoot first, right?
Yeah. That one. No, it's not that one. Where did I put that file? Oh, right here. Electromag flavor drivers. Let's open that up. Because I've designed a better one than what they're currently using. Don't require fuel. But on here, I actually put a copy of their current one, right from their patent. But it's, like I said, it's junk. I have to wait for it to open. Let me close some of these other out so that it's not eating up RAM. Okay. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Here's theirs. As you see, it's they don't do the frequency right. They do a single frequency instead of the three, spread the way you're supposed to get it automatically to tap the dark energy, and so they have to feed it selenium as a fuel. But I mean, if they got this, I mean, this is pretty good. It's all things considered, but mine, what comes out the back is pushing at 1.5 times the speed of light. That's the difference.
That was my question. Next question.
I got a chart on here which talks about that's the theoretical maximum of that selenium drive they got. Propulsion performance chart. Mine isn't. You can't even put it on here. It'd be way off somewhere off the screen. So yeah, it's all in how you do it, and mine takes into consideration all the stuff that Tesla did. Now this Tesla used that to make a generator back in the 1940s. No fuel. They keep that in a museum. They never start it up, so they never see how it's used or if it needs anything to be used.
Wow.
But there's a couple of facets that are true. And this is it. I've done a guide up, okay? This is life, okay? This is matter. This is everything. This is how it works. Everything, it's a Merkaba.
Right.
Basically. And if you combined any three, you tap hydrogen energy or dark energy or whatnot. If you do it properly, and it's free. Humans are the other three. That's what keeps your mind does the tap and keeps your cells in the shape and conformation that is a human body. It's as simple as that.
Right.
Put it all together, you have the Merkaba.
Right.
Just like our planet has a Merkaba. You have a personal one. But it's all three. That's what the triqueta one of the most famous symbols given to us basically by the Elven. That's what this is about. That's what it's a symbol of, the principles behind it. This is that drive that the Japanese built, the electromagnetic drive that they put on that ship that they proved it didn't work because they didn't build it right. So that nobody else would play with it, basically.
Oh, yeah. What do they call that, bait and switch or something?
Yeah. This, you know what this is, right?
Looks like a CERN on its side.
Let me zoom out here so you get a better look. This is the beefed up edition of it. These are both methods of using this technology to create anti-gravity.
Wow.
Cancel gravity. So here's this is my design. I'm not going to go into detail because I am not giving them this.
That's why I was so quiet.
I'll let them look at it. My gate teleportation stuff.
The one in the upper right corner, can you zoom in that again?
This one here?
Yeah. Now explain that again.
This creates the 3 harmonic frequencies which cancel gravity, because that's all gravity is. It's actually a triple harmonic wave.
Okay.
It's the same way the Buddhist monks use those long horns to create the 3 resonant frequencies that cancels the gravity under the blocks so they can move them with their finger.
Yeah. Is that each one, or is that all together combined?
All together combined, because you're going to have balance, like these 2 here, and then those 2, you know what I mean, to create a balance. This guy did it and actually put them on wheels, motorized to put them on wheels, so it would spin and act as a gyroscope as well as lift. So that's combining 2 functions, so it would gyroscopically stabilize itself.
Well,
when properly done, it's a longer drive. You got multiple stages, and you got to have the 3 frequencies and magnetic containment in between to get the compression. Much like they use these, this is a technology that's out there now available. You can buy. They're using the very same principle to force press water down to a plasma state to filter it.
wow. So, what does it remove everything?
Yeah, it actually burns it up. It turns it, it forces the water, the oxygen and hydrogen, into a plasma state.
Okay.
Everything is gone.
Right, because
You do it 3 times, and by what comes out is not only pure water, but all that energy from turning all the garbage to plasma re-energizes the water when it comes out the other side.
Right, because when I was going to say, when you change the water structure from a solid to a liquid to a
Gas,
it cancels out the essence of whatever was in it also.
but it's not just that. You're doing it in this pattern here,
Right.
which actually forces it not just to a gas, but to a plasma.
Right, so you're really, really reversing everything, deleting everything.
Yeah. And so you create a lot of energy when you do that destruction that re-energizes the water itself. So what comes out the end, instead of dead contaminated water going in, you got live energized water coming out.
Is that available to the public?
Yeah. This is their ad. It's called the Triploder. You go to the imploder.com site. Yeah, you can buy these. And there's a couple on other editions. They also have a UV you can get one of these singles with a UV filter assembly on it too. If you have, a problem with water, like so they've been fracking in your area and stuff like that, and you have other stuff that you have to deal with.
Right.
Or like living stuff that that you got to kill. There's other issues. What my drive does is, it's all magnetically field driven. But what you got to do is, my drive takes magnetics and does a phase conjugation of it. And when you start doing that stuff, this is what you get when you put it down to a plasma.
Well,
this is an energy-induced, electrically induced plasma. This is a magnetically induced plasma.
so the one on the left looks a lot stable.
Yeah, this is done with electromagnets. This is done with regular magnets. So my drive contains both. There's another trick, which this applies to all kinds of stuff, including using fiber optic collectors to put light down in basements. Currently, they do this, which is basically the same process you use to make plasma energetic for drive systems. They currently use this already for the transcontinental fiber optic network to get data at high speed across the Atlantic. It's the same thing, repurposed for something else. This is a universal process or phenomenon that you can use for a lot of different things.
Right.
You use this in fiber optic cable for transferring data as well, for data compression and high speed transit across the Atlantic at 1.5 times the speed of light.
Even
No delay.
Even doing something simple like lighting your whole house with one light bulb too. With fiber, just run fiber optics everywhere.
No, you put a collector on your roof.
Right.
And battery, and you'll collect enough this way during the day to run a light bulb inside for a couple of days.
Right.
Plus power automatically via the fiber whenever it's light out anyway. But I mean, even if you had, you run it for one day, 120, full 12 hours of daylight. If the sun didn't come up again the next day, you'd still get a couple of days light out of it.
Right. But I mean, I was talking about putting the collector on the roof, and you can have the natural sunlight all the way into the basement even.
Yeah. Here, see, here's where I do the comparison.
Yeah.
There's molecule hydrogen, there's the Milky Way in the back. And I would see in this level of creation, it's all the same angle. Everything within Lanikia is done this way. There's a couple of factors you take into effect when you do my drive system. I plotted out how the fields work. Here's some of the constants you got to consider. Your magnetic fields. If you create natural magnetics and then you have couple them with electromagnetics, they're exactly 90 degrees out. You can't have them positioned the same. If you're going to have the two in conjunction, they have to be 90 degrees out. That's part and parcel, which goes back to the way things are.
Right. So simple.
That's magnetic energy in and out. This is electrical energy in and out. This is the dark energy that's available. The hydrogen frequency is the tap.
Right.
Humans. Hydrogen. For data storage. This is the Akashic. Represents the Akashic records. If you picture the disk of the Milky Way as a platter data on a hard drive, data full of data. That's what that is. That's what the Akashic records are.
Wow.
That's data storage. That's how it all fits together. It's a balanced system. And anytime you do anything to do it right, you have to have at least 3 to tap the free energy, the dark matter or orgone or whatever you want to call it. And everything that the New World Order group does is they're only using 2 or 3. So they got to feed fuel in. That's just stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I go into depth on. Don't say because I don't want. I made changes accidentally. Then there's this. Yeah, the Hendershot boards. This guy, you build these here. These work doing the same thing, but instead of using electricity, they're creating electricity using a magnet to get the flow going. These 2 baskets with the capacitors in it, if you do the windings correct, what they're doing is gravity's always pulling down constantly. It's capturing the dark power that powers gravity, get the magnet to get it flowing, and what comes out of this is 110 volts, 60 hertz at 1700 watts. No moving parts.
Wow. That's quite a bit.
Yeah. It's enough to run your computer off. The only thing about this, especially with Earth's gravity field being all over the place, they don't travel well because you have to tune them for the gravity field in your location. This is on a slide here, and you adjust it for the gravity wherever you're at. You can't really put it in a car. That's the only drawback.
Yeah, because you're going through different frequencies and stuff. Gravities.
But you don't need to anyways. We got magnetic motors, for God's sakes.
And now for more storage, I was thinking about my computer is putting the information right into clear quartz crystal. Has that been done yet? Do you know?
That's what isolinium chips are.
Yeah.
Those are basically like a computer on a plastic card.
So then I was right all along.
Yeah, they've had this for a long time. Oh, they talk about it. Oh, we're experimenting with it now.
Yeah. Break. So then I would just put the quartz crystal right onto the.
Your isolinium chip is your computer.
Right.
And what they do on the ships is because you need so much computer power, because the control system is linked directly to a human mind. They have a whole bank, and so you put the minor frequency charge into the bank, and then you just plug in the computers how you want. And if you want to change your control system around or change the frequency to match a different human being, you can just slide one isolinium chip out and put in the one that matches that person's frequency.
Right.
And you've just effectively put a different operating system in it.
Complete almost.
Yeah, just by swapping out a single card. But in this case, the operating system matches to a person.
Right.
They're EEG. But these, these are, these will run forever.
Yeah, I seen that one running.
Yep, I got the blueprints for that too. He's got like 5 different editions of them, but yeah, there's so much. This is the magnetic field it creates. It's quantum drive magnetics. Because there's three layers. Again, that's everything. Everything that works right is always triple. Everything.
For balance.
Yeah. To tap that free energy and drive it. Just supercharge the magnetics. Essentially. That's what they call quantum, because you're going down to the level of that keeps everything together, and you're tapping that dark energy or orgone or whatever you want to.
Right.
Whatever terminology you want to slap on it. Now, for healing, they've done a similar thing using natural materials and natural packing inside of a box where you can put stuff in, or your hand and stuff in. it does the same thing using the natural resonant frequency of nature-made materials to heal. That's those argon boxes.
Right.
It's the same principle, but as you notice, it takes 3 different materials to make those boxes if they're going to work.
It's wool, steel wool, and
It's to hit get the natural 3 frequencies
right.
to make the tap happen.
And you got to put it in layers.
I mean, there's people here, they play around with 5s and oddball numbers. They won't work. 3 and 6s work.
Mm-hmm.
3, 6s, 9s, 12s. And then you're talking magnetic propulsion. Stealing the idea from Tesla when he thinks, that the Tesla turbine, when Tesla, before he died, asked what he thought his greatest invention was ever. The Tesla turbine is what he replied. There are so many things about these things that when you take them out to their full conclusion are mind-boggling.
Can you go into more detail about that?
Not only can you use these to move water and air and everything else, but the way that they're designed, they're like 98% efficient. The other thing is if you put the magnets in these with the north-south around them, put this on a motor, and then take a copper coil of flexible tubing, start in the middle, wrap it around like this until you come out the end, put cold water in one end, spin this up, you get boiling hot water out the other.
Wow.
For free. So if you put an extension on your waterfall generator or whatever, it's got to have at least 1,200 RPMs. Actually, these things, the faster they go, the more efficient they get, rather than the reverse of all other blade technologies for pumping. The faster you go, the more efficient you get. If you have an Archimedes screw type thing with a generator on top, you could put something like that off, put the coil, put a water capture on it,
right.
so the water gets pushed through the coil while it's going down the screw, and you can free hot water too, not just power.
Too much.
So yeah, I mean, there's so many things that Tesla does that it's there right in front of you, but you won't talk about it.
And that's been around how long? 60, 70 years?
Yeah, something like that. I'm getting too old. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, there's an addition of, where is it? It's like a combination of this and the Hendershot. I can't get a real good look at it. It's in the Smithsonian. It's made by Tesla. It's got moving parts, but it works similar because it works off of gravity once you start it. In other words, once you start it, it'll go all by itself forever until you stop it. But it works off of gravity. He somehow tied together something akin to a magnetic motor in that the coils and everything that are in it. But the coils actually work off of this principle, the gravity principle. And so you don't need the baskets.
Yeah.
Because I mean, to make one of these things, you got to have almost like a board almost 3 foot by 3 foot to build one of these. And if you put a 2x4 on one end and stand it up on edge, you can build a second one on the back and get 220. You know what I mean? It takes up a lot of space. So this thing he built, and it's sitting in the Smithsonian, but they got those rope cords.
Yeah.
They keep you at least 25 feet away. So you can only get a look at it from 25 feet away. That's supposed to let you get to it.
You have to take a little drone in there with the camera.
Yeah.
Those little teeny ones.
Yeah. That in itself, I mean, this is Tesla's EM drive. That's what I mean. He did this right. There are actual working EM drives built by Tesla.
Wow.
That's a star drive, propulsion drive. No fuel, electromagnetic, hydrogen energy tap.
And when did he do that?
Oh God, way back when he built the generator. That's what I mean. This stuff has been out there forever.
Would you say 19?
Would this take? See this bolt back up here?
Yeah.
Put a cable there. There's several places on there. You got to have a frequency generator. 3 different frequencies.
Hmm.
You put that on, tune in the frequencies, and this thing will stop propulsion all by itself. I mean, there is no intake over here. There's got a part in here that actually rotates a disc inside here that creates the propulsion.
Wow.
There's no motor to make it spin either. The energy, when you put the frequency in, starts the spinning. Stuff that, I mean, this stuff has been on display, but people look at it and they say, "Oh, what is it?" A description. There's the Smithsonian. They got a lot of his stuff on display. They say nothing. They won't even give it a name on a lot of this stuff. But that's what that is. It's an EM drive, space drive. That'll work in air, space, doesn't matter.
Wow. So
This guy, he used this to drive his car with no gas at all, running it just off water. They killed him for this. The trick for his electrolysis unit again is using the 3 frequencies,
right.
rather than going the more difficult but more long-term no maintenance edition, using the Stonehenge ratios like the guy in Australia does. This guy, he only uses 3 rods in it, but he uses the 3 frequency process, and he can get 160 foot-pounds of gas, which is more than enough to run, because he had this running a 5.8 liter full-size engine on just the gas.
Wow. And how'd they get rid of him?
The petroleum folks.
No, how did they get? Do you know how they got rid of him?
They killed him, and his vehicle vanished.
Oh.
His vehicle was not recovered. Found him dead in his house with a bullet through his skull, and his vehicle disappeared. So
Amazing.
this is what India's doing, and this is what this is a cobbled together trial test thing. What you do is, with those magnetic motors, rather than having the shaft spinning, you fix the shaft in place, and you spin everything else, the casing of it. Then you put discs off of it, put magnets linearly around the disc, and then you can put your windings for your pickup coils around that, so you have a motor and a generator all in one.
Wow.
Because the motor's inside spinning, you're holding the shaft fixed.
Right.
So it spins inside of all this, and it's like building, just like you build the windmill generators. And they're going to mass produce this. The G20 group it's gotten all in their face, and they said, I don't care. They're already gearing up to start mass producing these in India. They're not gonna be dictated to. It's just that simple.
That was recently too. Didn't they tell them to go pound salt?
Yeah. This is the another artifact.
Yeah.
They dug this up in Egypt. This predates the pyramids. That's a pump blade that uses the same principle, the same 3 frequency hydrogen tap energy. Takes almost nothing to spin this when you're using it as a pump, and it corrects the aspects of the water.
Wow. Because I've seen that a few times, but there's never an explanation what it's for.
Multiple uses. You could also use that, turn it horizontal and power spin it, and create modify these blades a little bit to create the harmonic with the air going by it. You can use that to cancel gravity as well.
Right.
Using it the opposite way. That's what I mean. It's everything's in threes. And yeah, they don't even like to talk about that in Egypt. They don't like, so it's not out on display. You can look at it if you ask,
Yeah.
but is it on display? No, because it doesn't fit the pattern. It doesn't fit their whole false history.
Yeah.
So this uses a lot of principles. My drive actually takes and steals technology or principles from a lot of different ET type crafts and combines it all into one to do it right. But this is the magnetic disc that doesn't need mercury, but it's using the equivalent of like a DNA Archimedes spiral of magnetics down the center to get lift instead. Much like I want to do with the one in my drive, put magnets actually in the spiral.
Well,
in the blade to do so. That's to get my initial acceleration, because one of the interesting things about using this tech, especially for electromagnetic drive system, whether it's to make your car run on water, if you do it right, over time you can actually train the metal itself to make that hydrogen frequency tap. Which is what the guy in Australia did. The whole thing, he did the first release of, splitting the hydrogen, the water into hydrogen and oxygen to run cars and stuff. But basically, that was the stage one, and that was actually to train the metal of the block of your engine to tap that free energy frequency.
well,
Once you train the block, and of course over time, it takes about 2 months, and you're gradually turning the distributor more and more advanced during it. But at the end, you can pull the positive wire off your coil entirely. Won't matter. And all you have to do is take the hydrogen line, not the oxygen one, but the hydrogen one, stick it on a bolt. In other words, you're not putting any gas into the engine anymore at all. You can plug the oxygen one up entirely, but the hydrogen one has to be at least on a bolt to keep the frequency training on the block, and your car will run on air. You'll have a explosive expansion going on inside the cylinder and an actual vacuum going in your exhaust, and it runs completely cool. There's no heat once you've done this. And then the only way to shut it off is you actually have to stifle and completely shut off the intake. Cut it off to kill the engine. Because if you turn the key off, nothing will happen. Take the wire off the coil, nothing will happen. It'll keep going. Somebody actually did that accidentally to a Toyota Land Rover. I saw a video of that. Couldn't shut it off. They had to end up putting a solenoid valve in baffle, under the carburetor where it goes into the intake, where they could, kill the power to the solenoid valve, and it'll shut off all the air to shut it down.
so that's how you shut it down, is smother it?
Yeah. Essentially, yeah, you cut off everything going into it because it'll run on air.
Wow.
That was his whole point. So I mean, he does a video. He shows, the stuff that's created by his. And he does it in the ratios of the Stonehenge. It's he doesn't even use expensive parts. I mean, his stainless steel. What he uses for the disc down inside, the stainless steel. Where all these people are trying to create these high output hydrogen things, and they're buying platinum and stuff like that. All this really expensive materials to get it to try and up the output. It isn't needed if you know the principle behind it and you build it right. You can use common materials. It doesn't matter. It's because they're not building them right.
Right.
Taking into consideration the triple field issue at all, especially with those square block deals that they're trying to, with all the multiple plates and held apart by washers and all that. That's just stupid. Completely ignoring the laws and the basic rules of the universe.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, they accidentally created, when was it, 1914? Ford accidentally created one back when they had the, I had a picture of it here, this one here. They had a little motor, steam motor, that was powering a little generator for their electric car, 1864. They accidentally created one of these hydrogen powered engines, which eventually started working on air with no water. And yeah, Ford had to get all over them, shut that shit down. I mean, they work for Ford, so what are you going to do, right?
Right.
What do you mean? I just wanted to view it. Package don't work. Yeah, the Parker electric car. And Parker, I mean, open. What the heck is it? It's not a picture? I must have downloaded it wrong. I must be at a presentation, but yeah, he was a mechanic that worked for Ford. But yeah, Ford shut him down and threatened the hell out of him. So that never went out because, you know, otherwise we'd be driving the cars around now that ran on air. And
Even
we'd
way
never
back
have the
then.
fuel issue.
Even way back then, they were threatening and stuff.
This guy Parker, in making this, he used a little steam engine
Yeah.
to power the generator to run the electric car. And after doing it for a couple of months and everything, suddenly the steam engine kept running with no water. So that was, they're standing there scratching their head because the engine ran out of water, but it's still running. Still powering the generator, car still goes.
That's funny.
I mean, it would have ran out of training because you still, when the block, when the hydrogen resonance of the block died out, it would have eventually die. But that's what I mean. You still got to have something keeping. You don't not only got to train the block to resonate at that frequency, you got to have something there to keep it because it will wear out. It'll lose the resonance unless it's running all the time. That resonance will go away once you shut it off over time.
That's incredible.
But that's how long ago
we've been jerked around.
Yeah. Since 1864, we've had cars that could run on air.
Unbelievable. That'll all be coming out though, very soon. All this.
You've seen this, right? This is using that anti-gravity technology.
No, I haven't seen that.
He built it in the bottom of the platform. Ran off a 12-volt dry cell. That's him 3 feet above the ground standing on it. This little flying platform.
Who is that?
And again, these pictures are 30 years old.
Who is that?
The first guy who actually built the prototype for the anti-gravity.
Oh.
He built his own little platform with a little set of handlebars so he could drive around like a scooter.
That's funny. It looks like the 40s. Well,
like I mean, they've disabled it. They've gutted it. It's sitting in a museum now.
oh, jeez. Yeah. Took everything off.
Yep. And you know what you used to power it?
Said it again?
Do you know what you used to power it?
No.
You decided that to make his resonant grid?
No.
Bugs' wings. Who do it naturally.
Wow.
So all he did was had a little dry cell battery. That's, you see the little wires, and these are the grids that he had the wires hooked to stimulate the bug wings.
Wow.
And the bug wings that were lined in underneath the wood here were enough to lift him and all this equipment off the ground. He could go as high as 40 feet before it would start coming unstable and start tipping and all of that. Yeah. What he'd do is hold on to this, and this lever down here, he'd work it with his foot to make the contact. Energize it underneath. And this is just, wood. A couple of pieces of wood. These are copper tube. I mean, it's...
Can't get any more basic.
You try and go public with that, they'll kill you. So you take that, take a Tesla car, right? The company out in California, put one of those magnetic motor generators in the back so you never need to plug it in. Take the wheels and everything off, stick this assembly underneath, and you have a flying hover car that is infinitely powered.
Wow. And they
we have everything to do this.
Yeah.
Flying cars.
And how long ago? And we're still farting around with piston engines.
It's hard to say, but definitively, if I had to put a year we could have had flying cars out to everybody, 1947.
Yeah.
Because they took this principle here, applied it, and came up with the mechanical frequency grid that I showed you in the other one to put under the car. Because I mean that's what they used in the latter era TR series triangular craft. This was underneath them to give them lift. The drive technology for the Galactic Freedom Edition of the TR, the big one, all of the same reasons they had the problems they had with the TR3B and lift and everything else still applies to the TR5, but they added anti-gravity technology and everything underneath to get the size up, and then EM drive to push it, and that's what I mean. So it's combining of technology. So I mean, as of 1947, if they could do that, you could scale it all down and put it in a car.
Right.
And do it right so that you don't need to feed it fuel either. So yeah, it's depressing when I've known about all this since I was in 6th grade. So by the time I get to 10th grade in high school and the stuff, it's like, I've had enough of this. This is bullshit. It's garbage. And I quit school. I mean, even at that point, I was spending 3 to 4 periods a day down in the vocational department. My first year of high school, I took 1 quarter semester of each, drafting, machine shop, auto shop, wood shop, all that. And then I settled on drafting because, I could do all the rest of it. The whole thing was doing design work, so I could blueprint stuff.
Yeah.
So I was down voc, and then I was holding on a full-time job anyway. I was on an early work release anyway. I said, there's no point in me even going anymore. So I quit. But when the economy tanked out, and it was like, well, I got to do something. I didn't have a job, and I went and applied at the military. You got a high school diploma? No. Well, back then they weren't taking them. I said, well, give me a test anyway. It's not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
At the time, I was going in with a buddy, a kid I went to high school with. So we went together, and that's the only reason why they even bothered to test me. If you go what they call the buddy system,
Right.
you could go in the military, but basically you're limited to whatever your partner could do. They called it the buddy system. Otherwise, they wouldn't have tested me at all. But once they tested me, they said, "What do you want to do?" In my IQ at that point, and this was back in '82 at 176.
Wow. That's very high.
But you got to understand how IQ tests work. What did they test? How well you know the lies.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Not how well you know the truth. So when people talk about their IQ, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it.
How well you know
I
lies.
don't make any big deal over mine because it's how well I know their lies. It has nothing to do with truth
Right.
and the way things actually work. So, yeah.
Pretty amazing. How much further did you want to go? Because we're at an hour and a half.
That's this. I'm running out of energy. I mean, the next thing at this point is going to be a whole separate thing altogether, and we're going to get into the heraldic crests and all that, and how that ties into genetics and history, and what symbols are what and why, and the Elven connection, and looking into who you are by just your heraldic crest. You can get a really good grip on what's running through your blood.
Right.
That'll be a whole nother topic. And I'm not going to do it tonight because I'm getting tired. You're probably getting tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably got crammed up brain at this point.
Let me close this out, but don't take off. All right, that's Project Ascension. I'm your host, Andrew Mallet, with former Sergeant
Pattie
Pattie
Brassard.
Brassard, U.S. Army Freedom Team, NASA Contractor, Space Lab, Computers, Communications. And we will be back at another time for even more great information. Thanks for doing this, Patty.
Huh?
Thanks for doing this.
Oh, no problem.